Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to solve simultaneous equations using substitution. Substitution is actually my favorite method. It's the best, it's really fun. So let's dive in. So you just have to sit back and enjoy. Only kidding. It's a good idea for you to also do this at the same time as me, because that's how you learn maths, by actually doing. So try and write out all these steps and then I'm going to leave you with a few examples to do. So suppose I've got two equations. The first one is x plus y equals to 10. Let's call this equation 1. And then my second equation is x minus y equals to 2. This is equation 2. So I've got two unknowns and two equations. So I need to solve this simultaneously. So you could either use substitution or elimination. So let's focus on substitution. So what you need to do is look at the two equations and ask yourself, can you rearrange any one? So either x or y is the subject, and it makes it easy. So yeah, we could rearrange either the first one or the second one. It doesn't actually matter. In this case, we can make x the subject of the first one or x the subject of the second one. The rearranging is quite simple. Let's do the second one. So in order to make x the subject, all we need to do is get rid of this neg y. I like to think of it as bringing it across the equal sign. Other people think of it as to get rid of a negative y, you have to add y to both sides. It's pretty much the same thing. So we're going to get rid of it by adding y to the same side or bringing it across the equal sign. So my second equation just becomes x equals 2 plus y. Hopefully that makes sense. Whenever you bring something across the equal sign, it becomes opposite, or you're just adding y to both sides. Perfect. And that is what I'm looking for. I'm either wanting to make x the subject or y the subject. So x is the subject here. Now, all you need to do is wherever you see x in our first equation, which is the first value, we just need to substitute this in because that's what x is. So let me write out the first equation. So the first equation was just x plus y equals to 10. And instead of x, we're going to add that in because that's what x is. So instead of x, I'm going to say 2 plus y. This y still remains, so we're still going to write it. So we've still got plus y. And we're told that equals to 10. Okay, remember, when there's not a number in front of the y, that means there is a 1 here and a 1 here. So we've got 1 plus 1y plus 1y. So those two are like terms. It's like saying 1 apple plus 1 apple. You could say together, that's 2 apples. So in this case, that would just be 2y. So that's 2y. Sorry, that should be over here. And this 2 still remains, and this equals to 10. Okay, so now we want to make y the subject. So we're trying to get rid of this 2. So to get rid of it, we're going to bring it to the other side or subtract it from both sides. So on the left-hand side, you're just left with 2y. On your right-hand side, you've got 10 take 2. 10 take 2 is 8. And so 2y is 8. And our final step is to get rid of the 2. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, which means y equals 4. Nice. So we've got our first value. And then a lot of students forget to do this. We need two solutions. So you need to substitute that back into either equation 1 or equation 2. So make sure you sub back into, let's sub it into equation 1. It doesn't matter which one you sub it into, you should get the same answer. So equation 1 was just x plus y equals to 10. And we know y is 4. So it's nice and easy. So instead of y, we're going to say x plus 4 equals to 10. And you could probably do this in your head, or you're moving the 4 across to the other side. So that means that x would be 10 take 4, which is 6. So my x value is 6. And we write our solution in coordinate form. So it should be 6. Sorry, it should be 6 as my x value, and my y value is 4. And we're just going to make sure it holds true. So with simultaneous equations, it's really good to check your answer. So remember, x was 6 and y was 4. And 6 plus 4 does equal to 10. And 6 take 4 does equal to 2. So we know my solution is correct. So I'm confident with my solution. And so it's always a good idea. That's the really good thing about maths as well. You can usually check if your answers are correct. So it's always a good idea to substitute it back in and check your answers correct. Okay, let's do a few more. Let's go a bit harder. So let's do another one together. So this time, let's say my first equation is, let's use the pen, 2x plus y equals to 11. And my second equation is x minus y equals to 1. So I'm going to ask myself, can I make x or y the subject of either of these? So I can either make y the subject of the first one, because it's easy to isolate. I just need to get rid of this 2x. Or in the second one, I can make x the subject by getting rid of this neg y. So let's do the second one, because it's a lot easier. So all you need to do is this neg y, we want to move it to this side, or we're adding y to both sides. So my second equation just becomes x equals 1 plus y. Perfect. And then we just substitute that in for x. So this is a really common mistake when people substitute this in when you've got a pronumeral in front of x. So we've got that 2. It's really important that you use brackets because that 2 signifies you have to multiply everything. So let's write out the first equation again. It is 2x plus y equals to 11. And instead of x, I want to substitute 1 plus y because that's what x is. So I'm going to say 2 because that still holds there. And then we're going to use our brackets. And we're going to put in 1 plus y because that's what x is. We still have that. So plus y and it equals to 11. So this is where the fun begins. You got a 2 outside brackets, which means you multiply everything in the brackets by whatever's outside. So you're going to do 2 times 1, which is 2. And 2 times y, which is 2y, then you've still got this y equals to 11. Let's collect like terms. So those two are like terms. Remember, there's a 1 over here. So we're left with 2. 2y plus 1y is 3y, and this equals to 11. We want to get rid of this 2 now. So we're going to bring that to that side. It's positive on the left-hand side. So when you bring it to the right, it becomes negative. So I'm left with 3y equals 11 take 2. 11 take 2 is 9. So you could say 3y equals to 9. And now it's nice and easy. We want to get rid of the 3. So we have y by itself. Divide both values by 3. That gets rid of that. Y is 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Another important point is always highlight your answers. Make it really easy for the examiner when they're marking your work to see what your final answer is. Especially if you've got a line of working like I do over here. Make it really clear. Perfect. We got our first solution, y equals to 3. And then remember, people forget to always substitute that back in to work out what my x value is. And remember, x is just 1 plus y. So we could write that down. X equals 2. 1 plus y, and we know y is 3. So x equals to 1 plus 3, which is 4. So my solutions are just 4 and 3. And let's check it. So let's check it with the second one. You've got x take y should equal to 1. So 4 take 3 is 1. And then we've got 2x plus y should equal to 11. So 2 times 4, which is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So we know that my answer is correct. Let's put a box around it and we're confident. Okay, let's do one final one, another hard one. I'll go through this a bit faster because hopefully now you're feeling good. You're feeling good about this. It's pretty fun once you get the hang of it. It's pretty easy as well. So suppose my two equations are 3x plus 2y equals to 16. Let's call that equation 1. And x minus y equals to 1. So hopefully straight away you could say that you're going to rearrange the second one because it's easy to make x the subject by getting rid of this neg y, by moving that neg y to this side. And remember, whenever you move something across the equal sign, it becomes the opposite. So x would just be 1 plus y. And now all we need to do is wherever we see x in my first equation, we need to substitute 1 plus y in, and we need to use our brackets. So my first equation, let's use a different color, we could use white, is 3, oops. So my first equation is 3. Let's write in the x plus 2y equals to 16. And instead of x, we're going to substitute that in because that's what x is. So it's 3. Use your brackets. Don't forget the brackets. 1 plus y plus 2y equals to 16. Let's multiply this out. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times y is 3y. So we have 3 plus 3y. We've still got this 2y, and that equals to 16. Collect like terms and bring that over. So that will also be collecting like terms. So let's do this in one stage because now we're feeling good. We know how to do this. So 3y plus 2y is 5y. And on the right-hand side, we would have 16 take 3. 16 take 3 is 13. And then our final step, divide by 5. So y is 13 on 5. That's solution 1. Final step, work out what x is. So substitute it back in. Might as well substitute it into this equation. So x equals to 1 plus y. Y is 13 on 5. So x equals to 1 plus 13 on 5. And let's do this without a calculator because it's fun to add fractions without a calculator. To add and subtract fractions, the denominator needs to be the same, the bottom number. So any whole number could just be written over 1 because any whole number divided by 1 is itself. So 1 over 1 is 1. So step 1, we're going to write both of these as a fraction. If that's a fraction, we need to put that as a fraction by just putting it over 1. We want the denominators to be the same, so we need to make this a 5. In order to make 1 a 5, you have to multiply it by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, let me just write out what we're doing, you need to do to the top. So that just becomes 5 on 5. This is 13 on 5. And when you're adding fractions and the denominator is the same, you can literally just add the numerators. So we just do 5 plus 13, which is 18. So we have 18 on 5. So that's what my x is. Remember, we can write this as coordinate form because we had x and y values. Let's just put a box around this to say this was our answer. So x was 18 on 5 and y was 13 on 5. And boom, we're done. So that's how you solve simultaneous equations using substitution. I can't even pronounce it. Hopefully that was fun. You felt like you've learned something. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time where we're going to do a bit more maths. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.